Okay, on the video today we're going to go over the hydraulic strut installation on a 1977 MGB roadster. This video is by request from someone in one of the forums had watched one of my videos, and I kind of breezed over the topic when I did the installation of the trunk lid. The trunk lid was a little bit warped because of the old struts, and we replaced all of the old struts, which were mechanical, with hydraulic struts. So I'm going to go over today the installation a bit more detailed in as far as measurements, how to fit those struts, where they go in, and how to get them properly installed, and just a demonstration of how they look when they're up and how they function. So let's get started. All right, so these are what the hydraulic struts look like when they're installed. You can see they have a little clip here which comes off of a ball joint. You can see there's a ball joint right in here, and that's this little clip. When you disengage this little clip right here, you can slide a screwdriver up underneath there and it will pull this clip out. That relieves the tension on that ball, and you can just pop these things straight off. The hydraulic shaft has a shaft that goes up into the cylinder here. When you're painting, make sure that you cover this because you don't want any debris to get up in there. You can see I got a little bit of overspray on this connector. Again, the same kind of thing, a spring with a little ball joint. So let's go ahead and take some measurements and show you where on the front, on the hood, where to mount this bracket in respect to landmarks and whatnot, so that you can get it properly installed. All right, so to measure the top side of this bracket right here, measuring from the bottom of where the hood is right here, that is 7 5/8 from the bottom of the hood to that top of that bracket. Now, if you're using metric, and you're like the rest of the folks in the civilized world, you'll go from the bottom there to 19 centimeters from the bottom edge of the hood to the top of this bracket. Now, when you get ready to, you set the bracket in there, and you mark with a pen where these holes are going to go, and you want to drill a pilot hole for these machine screws. That makes sure that you're going to get them right where they need to be, and they'll be perfectly fit. Now, when you drill that pilot hole, make sure that you put a stopper on your drill bit so that when you go through the metal, it doesn't tap and put a dent in the top surface of your hood. This is, a good inch away from the top surface of the hood. But if you're pushing on that drill bit and it breaks through, you don't want it to tap the inside of the metal and put a dent in your hood. So make sure you put a stopper on your drill bit so that it won't go too deep. Let's go ahead and get a measurement on the bottom side. All right, so on this bottom side, you may have to move the rubber a little bit here, but where you're gonna drill 2 holes right straight through, and these are a bit bigger holes because these are not machine screws. These are actually threaded screws where you have a nut on the back side down here. When you orient this, make sure that the little ball joint is facing out, and that way you'll be able to actually get this to connect. Now, it might seem counterintuitive. You might get the impression that you have to make the elbow match up with the edge here, but no, it's perpendicular. You got to make sure that the ball joint is facing toward the engine bay. The measurement that you want here is from the center of this hole to the center of this hole. It's approximately 2 1/4 inches. Or if you're looking at the metric, you'd be going with just under 60 or 6 centimeters. Yeah, 6 centimeters will get you to where you need to be right there. All right, so when you buy the struts, they come with instructions, and instructions tell you to measure off of the existing strut, but that only gives you a measurement on one side, and the instructions will tell you, and the same on the other side. Well, it's like, well, where do I get my measurement over here? So anyway, that's the measurement for this side. I'll show you the measurement that they give you from the instructions where it says to go from the other strut on the other side. And there's also some little idiosyncrasies on the other side regarding the wiring harness. So let's have a look at the lower on that side. All right, so in the instructions on the kit that you buy, it'll say to take your measurements from the existing strut. This is where the OEM strut, what it's just a mechanical strut that goes up and holds the hood open. So from this edge right here is what they say to measure from. And so if you do that, let me move the rubber here. The edge of, all right, edge of that strut to the edge of that bracket is 3 3/4 of an inch. So from this, the edge of the bracket to the edge of this strut, 3 3/4 of an inch. And if you measure that with metric measurement here. Sorry, I have a goofball ruler for my metrics because I don't do much metric stuff. 6.5 centimeters. 6.5 centimeters from the edge of this strut to the back side of this bracket right here. There is a little idiosyncrasy with this one in that the second screw hole is right here. It kind of matches up with where the on the wiring harness you have the fuse box, and there's a screw on the top of the fuse box. So if you're working on a restoration and you have everything taken apart, the sequence is that you need to put the fuse box in first and then run that screw in. Because if you put this screw in right here, you won't be able to put that screw in. It'll be in the way. So they both kind of touch, and one has to go in first. So make sure you have your screw into the fuse box first, and then you can run this screw down with a nut right here, and everything will match up just fine. All right, so that is the front struts on the MGB. So let's have a look at the backs. All right, so the back side was easy and it was hard at the same time. So on the one side, in this case, the driver's side, or on the old strut side, depending on where your car was built, the new strut gets installed using the existing bracket. They give you a piece of hardware that you just replace one of the nuts with a ball joint nut right here. And the same thing down here, you get the ball joint down here, and it goes on the old bracket. You can see there's no screws, there's no drilling, there's no holes, everything's welded in place. And so this is using the old brackets. It makes it a whole lot easier on this side. On the other side is a whole different story, because what the instructions tell you are, and the same on the other side, which basically says to take the measurements for this ball joint and transpose them to the opposite side. And that's difficult because if you look at the geometry inside this trunk, there's not a single straight edge. Everything is curved and rounded. There's nothing that you can take a measurement off to find out where these measurements are. So let me show you the method that I used to reproduce these measurements on the other side. All right, so the method that I used to transpose the measurements for this ball joint to the location of this ball joint was I took a large straight edge, and you can use anything that is long and straight, probably a 2x4 or a small piece of wood, and I put this against these mounting brackets right here. And what that did was it gave me the ability to draw a line here and draw a line here. And so once I measured that, I was able to get the distance to this ball joint from here to there and from here to there. And I'm not going to give you that measurement because it might be different based on your model year, and it might be different from your bracket, but that's the method that I use to transpose those numbers. And once you get, you don't want to measure the bracket, the bottom of the bracket, because in this case the bracket's bigger on the old one than the new bracket that you get is smaller. You want to measure where the ball joint is, right? And so that's where your measurement needs to be, is where the ball joint is going to be. So you draw your line and you get a measurement from here to there, and then you'll be able to transpose it to the other side. Same thing over here is with the hood. These are machine screws. They go in, and you got to make sure that you block your drill bit so that you don't tap the finished surface of your trunk hood when you're drilling these pilot holes, and then you put those in. Let's go to the bottom side and see how those look. All right, so on the bottom side, same thing. You're going to use a large straight edge. And what I did with this one is, you do have a flat surface right here. This is a relatively flat surface that you can take a measurement off of. And you want to measure, again, you're measuring to the ball joint right here. Wow, this one actually has centimeters on it. It's 17 3/4 of an inch, or 55.5 centimeters from the back edge here to the center of that ball joint. And all you need to do is transcribe that measurement over to the same measurement over here, and you'll line them right up. There you go. All right. So that is how to find the measurements and orient your hydraulic lift cylinders when you convert from the old mechanical ones. Again, these mechanical ones had some issues because they were only supporting on one side. It would tweak the hood or the trunk just because of the weight. And then because it was mechanical instead of automatic, if you tried to close the hood, again, you're tweaking the metal. You have to make sure that you click it before you close it. And here you can see the operation of how these work. You can see it right about there is where there's a neutral, and it wants to lift all by itself, and it won't go flying open. It's a hydraulic, so once you get it to here, it just lifts like that. So these hydraulic lift brackets, these things are really great. If you get a chance to install those on your MG, it's really well worth the time and effort. So I hope this helps out with your installation. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. If I helped out at all, make sure you subscribe. And if you have some tips or tricks, share them in the comments for other people who might be watching this video down the line. Thanks much. Have a good day. If I've helped you fix your car, work on your project, or given you any hints or clues that have saved you some money over the course of your project, please consider giving me a super thanks. To do so, find this little 3-button deal here, click on that, and you'll see a little heart-shaped dollar sign. If you click on that, you'll see this interface that allows you to scroll up and give me as much as you think it was worth. Click on the buy and send. It'll process through a credit card, and it'll hit my account. Every little bit helps. So thanks much.